I should probably find a better setup for this, but because it's the first one, it's just all about actually putting something out there, getting something recorded, and we'll see how it goes. I've now been in Milan for 2 months out of 4, so I wanted to talk a bit about my experience so far, and if you want to do the same thing, if you've been thinking about moving to a new country, if you should do it or not, what's the pros and what's the cons of doing something like this. First, I want to talk about why I wanted to move, and maybe you can relate to my why, because I think that's probably the most important part actually. So after I finished my bachelor in product design, I decided I wanted to freelance, and I was lucky enough I could live at home with my parents. I gave myself 6 months to begin with. So I started freelancing in September, I think, and I then gave myself to March the next year. And I actually got 2 clients pretty early on. Like the first month in, I got 2 clients, and pretty big clients as well. So it was like a sign for me that I could actually do this, and I got a lot of belief out of getting those clients. But after those 2 clients, it was silent for a while, and I started doubting myself, and I was about to quit. But then I got another client, and I was like, okay, I can do this. So the first plan to do it for 6 months turned into 1.5 years, because I kept getting one client like every 2-3 months, which kept me going and made me just still believe. So at the beginning of this year, I had been freelancing for 1.5 years, full time. Honestly, I'm super grateful for the experience, and I worked with some amazing clients, but it was just not sustainable enough and frequent enough for me to be able to live completely off. So at the beginning of this year, I got a part-time job at a warehouse, which was terrible. It was such a soul drainer, waking up, just knowing you have to go to this cold warehouse where it's like 3 degrees and you're going to carry fruit around all day. It's like the complete opposite of who I am as a human. Like, I'm a creative at heart, I like to make stuff. And this is sort of when I started thinking about actually moving to a new country. I think I wrote down in my notes in like March that I wanted to try to live in a new place and get away from this part-time job. Of course, when I got the part-time job, I obviously also got more clients than I ever had before. I got 3 clients at the same time, just as I got the part-time job, of course. I got the part-time job, I had 3 clients, and I still made content every day. And essentially all I did was work, which, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy the creative work, especially when I can do my own thing. But the warehouse job was just so draining. And ultimately, in the beginning of May, I had a crash down. I stopped making content. All the 3 clients was finished. So the momentum just stopped, and I felt super sluggish. And that's when one night I just had this deep sense of urgency that I needed to get away for a bit. And I actually have a chat log with ChatGPT from that night, because I just sort of brain dumped into ChatGPT what I want to do. And that's when ChatGPT helped me create a plan, and that's sort of what kicked it off. And as I said, it essentially came from this feeling of burnout, of being tired of the same thing all the time. Life felt so stale. I needed new inspiration, I needed a new environment, new people. I also needed an opportunity to actually get off my comfort zone a bit more and challenge myself. There was this huge gap between where I wanted to be and where I was in life. So after like a week thinking about it, I decided I need to do it. It just feels so right. There's like, people say follow your intuition, and I really believe that there's something to it. I handed in my resignment at work. I booked a place to stay, I booked plane tickets. So it was a very spontaneous decision. So as I said, I've been there for 2 months now, halfway already, which is crazy how time flies. So now we get to, should you do the same? And obviously I want to preface that I don't have the answer for anybody else's life, but I can talk about what it has done for me, and maybe you can relate to some of it, and that can help you make a decision as well. So I would say, start off by just saying, if you have the opportunity, you're self-employed, you have enough savings to quit your 9 to 5, and you feel very stuck, you feel burnt out, you feel lost, I would just immediately say yes, do it. Because I've regained so much energy by being here, and it's just this splurge of new inspiration, new motivation. I think we need some novel experiences in our life. I actually wrote a Substack article about this, that novelty is sort of life extension. They remember the novel experiences better than the same routines and habits that we do every day. As an example, if you ate at this super fancy restaurant with some good friends, you had a great experience, you're probably very likely to remember that for weeks, if not months. But if I ask you what you ate for dinner last week, you're not going to remember. So what actually makes us remember and put these timestamps almost in time is novel experiences. And that's another reason why this is so valuable. I want to get into some more specifics. And what are the pros? So number one, I would say new connections. I actually met so many cool people here, and it's the first time in my life I feel like I'm able to meet like-minded people since probably I went to university. Because I come from a small town, it's a town with 3,000 people, and there's a very low chance you'll find someone who's interested in the same thing, especially when it's something as niche and small as design and product design. And like finding other freelance footwear designers in a town with 3,000 people, it just doesn't happen. But here I can find designers, creatives, entrepreneurs, freelancers, other people who like shoes. Like for the first time I have someone to talk to about these things, and they can relate to my problems, they can relate to my experiences. So there's just so much value in being embedded in a more creative environment like this. You sit at home all day in front of your computer. It feels very refreshing to get out and be able to talk to people about these things. Number two is new routines. If you have read Atomic Habits, which a lot of people have, you can see that routines and habits are very closely connected with our environment. And that's also why it's very easy to get stuck in bad habits and patterns when you just are in the same environment all the time. So going to a new place gives you sort of a complete restart. It's like rebooting your computer. You have this fresh sheet that you can create new habits, new routines, and new patterns for yourself. And you also know nobody, so you have no commitments, and you can create sort of your day and design your life however you want, because it will never be disrupted by some outside forces. Number three is new culture. Very fascinating, and it's very fun spotting these tiny nuanced differences between the cultures, like differences in behavior, in the way we speak, in routines, just the way we do things. And when you see those differences, you start comparing with your own culture and your own people. You can see what you like about one culture, what you dislike about the other, and it gives you a broader perspective on life, and you can sort of take the best from both worlds. So, okay, I like this about my culture, and I dislike this about my culture. Can I take something from this other culture to improve the things I dislike about my own? And the biggest thing for me has probably been that Italians are a lot more warm and outgoing than Norwegians. In Norway, people are more cold and closed. I think I would call myself an introvert, but I feel like when I'm here and I'm speaking to Italians, I just immediately get more outgoing. It has been super good for my personal growth, and I hope that's something I can carry back to my old environment in Norway. Number four is new environment, and I talked a bit about this earlier in the video. If you want to create novelty in your life, you can simply drive a new road to your work. So moving to a whole new country is like this big shot of novelty. Everything is new, everything is exciting. I mean, just walking around the block is exciting because you just see so much cool stuff. Even going to the grocery store, these things that are usually boring are fun in a new environment. I've been here for 2 months now, so the level of novelty goes down, of course. But just those first weeks, first month, it's definitely worth it. You can live on those early impressions and that first shot of novelty for a very long time. Okay, and some quick fire ones. Breathing room. So you're basically forced to be more alone, which gives you more time to think and reflect and figure out what you want to do going forward. The next, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It gives you so much energy. And it basically just, all the things I've mentioned earlier, all those things combined, it just gives you so much energy. Of course, I decided to go to Milan because it's sort of, there's a deep connection between Milan, creative work, fashion, and all that stuff. So there is some part of me that hoped for some business progression by going here. And I've not had that so far. But as I said when I left, if I gain nothing financially, if I gain nothing business-wise, it's still an experience for life. And I still needed it for personal reasons, like personal growth. So I think solely for that reason, it's worth it. When I left, I just turned 24. And I think if you're around that same age, you should do it as soon as possible if you want to do it. Leaving to a new country with no plan, it just gets harder and harder as you age. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible when you're 30 to just go to a new country, but you most likely have more commitments and more things holding you back. So if you want to do it, if you feel like in your body you need something new, go do it now, please. I can just talk from my experience, but it has been so worth it. It has been really worth it.